Amber Buto, and this is
Kelly Leger.
This is our mascot X that's here with us today. We have X on set. He's kind of been our studio mascot here lately.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves him.
Mm-hmm.
And we just hope everybody loves us as much as they love him.
Absolutely.
But we also have a really special guest today.
We do.
That is a dear friend of mine who I adore.
Mm-hmm.
This is Anna with Bare Hands Media. Welcome,
Hey,
Anna.
Hey.
As I like to say, Anna Boyter.
That's the very fancy way.
Yeah.
That's like when I'm driving my Porsche that I don't own.
Oh,
That
yeah.
would be my name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we went over like all of our crazy last names that we all have
Mm-hmm.
and how you can say them bougie
Fancy, yeah.
or not,
Mm-hmm.
Bougie.
right?
That's it.
Or
Bougie.
just really messed up, which all of us get often.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I've been Leger, Leger, Laguerre my whole life when it's Leger or Leger, depending on if you're in Louisiana or in France.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Super casual. We just sit here and have great conversations with people that we love, that have done great things in the industry. We love what you're doing, and where you came from and where you've ended up and all of that. So let's dive into your story.
All right. I'm going to move this mic a little bit because I'm fancy like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm Anna Boyter today.
Right.
Yeah. I guess I should start with the fact that, like, I'm a GED kid, right? Like,
Yeah.
real
Hear, hear.
creative, like, way too dumb for high school. High school math specifically. But no, I would think I was just really creative and I couldn't really find my stride, couldn't really figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And so immediately after that, I was getting into music, and I, was going to music composition school and all of that, and kind of ended up in Arizona. I did audio production out there, so I started with that, and then from there, I did what any bright-eyed, big-dreamed,
Yep.
kind of creative does, and moved to LA, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
La la la.
LA. Yeah, so I did that, and there I met like a mentor of mine that was Bill Matoyer. He's
Okay.
really well known at Metal Blade Records. He did a lot of stuff with Slayer. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them, but
Yeah.
Slayer.
yeah. So I did that kind of stuff, and I don't know, you lived in California, so you kind of know how expensive it is to live there. And when I first moved out there, it was a struggle to make rent. I was living in like a one-bedroom apartment when it was in Glendale, right? It's really hilly in Glendale.
Mm-hmm.
And the garage apartment was built on literally like this hill of a garage. And so everything in my apartment was like tilted this way.
Yeah.
We had to hang
Wow.
the TV on the wall like this
That's
to watch our
funny.
Dexter
Oh my
episodes. Like, it
gosh.
was ridiculous.
That is funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
But I had to have several jobs to get, this rent paid and our bills paid over there. And so, yeah, while I was doing music production with Bill during the day, most days. And then, I picked up, I radio hosted for like this metal show, which was really funny. And then I picked up a job answering phones at a trailer house. So the trailer houses in California, like the way those work, and you may know all about
Like movie
this.
trailer.
Movie trailer. Basically, what happens there is like they'll shoot for films, right? And then they send all of the dailies out to all the different trailer houses around town.
Yeah.
And then those trailer houses digitize that footage, send it to the editors that are on their staff there. They cut the trailers, and then the studio decides which trailers from which trailer houses they're actually going to fill out and put on, for their advertising and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I was answering phones there, and then found myself like, oh, well, this is kind of cool, actually. Like, I love the people that work here. I'm really into this. So I moved up to working in the machine room there, which is where we would get the dailies from whatever they shot that day for that film. And then we would digitize the little DV tapes in the machine room, and then we'd have to like label them and stuff and send them to the editors. And have you seen dailies before from like feature films, like the big blockbuster ones where it's like, the ones where it's all like blue and green screen?
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I'm talking about? And
Yes.
it's like, so you would have this script, and you'd pop the dailies in, and you would have to like refer to the script to what was going on in because it's really just like a guy running,
Yes.
screaming, like panicking, and then it's just like all blue and green screen behind him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, I see here in the script that it's guy running from Killer Robot. Awesome.
Right.
And that's
Yes.
why you have to
Right.
like cut that, label it, send it up to the editors, and then the editors edit with that as well. So it was really cool. And then you're in the you're in the machine room and you're doing all of that stuff, and you're just like, well, I really want to edit. Like this is
Yeah.
really like everything.
Yeah,
It's always
leads
like
to the next, to the
yeah,
next, to the
yeah,
next.
yeah. Leads,
Yeah,
like it's like you can't wait. So luckily, what was really cool there, the place I was at, was there was a female editor there, and she was so cool. She was like, I don't know, she was rad. She wore this color green a lot. She had this bright red hair, like so cool. But she took me under her wing and started teaching me how to edit.
Awesome.
And
That
so
is
the
so great.
first footage that I ever edited with was like the original Transformers, Chronicles of Narnia.
Cool.
So-
Wow.
Fun.
It was
Yeah.
so rad, and I just loved it. I just
Yeah.
loved it immediately. So I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I want to do. Like, I'll always love music. Like, I'll always love playing music and writing music, but
Yeah.
this was it. So
Yeah.
I gotta like geek out for at least a moment on the whole Transformers
Let's do it.
editing thing.
Let's
I
do
mean,
it.
so first of all, I actually didn't know that that's how they did that. That they actually would turn loose their dailies and let these guys basically audition a piece, a
Mhm.
trailer, right? I
Mhm.
would assume there had some sort of like script that went along with it or something like that, but it was really like, what do you got? I mean,
right, and that's
amazing.
what they do, which is really backwards, right? You would think that
Right.
you would put together a script and have it all pre-planned.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we do work these days, right?
Right.
It's all the pre-production, and you know what you're gonna do
Yeah.
before you even get in there.
Mhm.
But that's not how it is over there,
Wow.
or was,
Right,
right?
Sure,
right.
sure.
Yeah, and they would basically audition
Interesting.
these edits, and then that's what they would fill out all of the special effects with. Once they chose which ones they wanted to go with, they would finish out those special effects,
Right.
release those trailers, and then they would finish the film.
Now, not to get like too
Wow.
deep in this, because I know we have so much to talk about, but you did kind of geek me out here.
Yeah.
I like that.
So on the trailers, is there like I don't know, specific? There's different types of trailers. Like I mean,
Sure.
it's like, did you name them, or did they have like names for the type of trailer you're cutting? I'm going to do this kind of trailer, this kind of trailer, this one.
It was all up to the creatives and the editors.
Wow,
Yeah. So the editors were true artists, and they
that's
just
amazing.
Mhm.
and they were awesome.
Wow,
Yeah.
and you're given such cool footage to work with too.
Well,
I mean,
in theory.
in theory,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I actually started like one of my first, editing jobs in California. I was cutting for Sony Pictures, and I was doing all of their like B and C movies, tons of like zombie movies, and all these things
That's
that
so
they
rad.
bought, tons of them.
Yeah.
And I was like the cleaner, because my job was to go through and clean them up so that they could be played on like airplanes. It was still when they were like, you didn't have all the on demand. It was what was
Oh,
playing.
yeah.
And so they had to be for a general audience.
Mhm.
So the zombie, like my notes would literally be, zombie bites woman 12 times. Take 10 bites out and leave 2.
So
because
that it
was
could get
too much,
approved.
so it could get
Right.
approved.
Right.
And so I had to creatively figure out how to cut around that or slice it down. I'm like, some of the movies they gave me was just like, there's going to be like 5 minutes left of this movie when we're done. You understand that, right? The guy hits man with blunt object 17 times. Take out 10. And it's like, there's not even a storyline anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, little Johnny can watch it now, but there's nothing to watch. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, so that's me geeking out. Anyway,
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
fun. I love that you did that. That's super cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool
a great
place.
way to start, right?
Great
it's a
place.
really
Yeah.
great way to start. So
Wow.
yeah, I loved it. But they had so back in that time, like back when like Chronicles of Narnia and all of that stuff was going on. I don't know if you remember this, but they had awesome benefits in New Zealand
Mm-hmm.
for
Mhm.
creatives that were working
Yeah.
in the film industry. And so I was like, this is what I want to do. I love this. This is it. Like I'm packing my stuff. I'm gonna move in with my mom in Houston for a little bit, and I'm gonna save some money. I'm going to New Zealand. I already have an apartment picked out. This is awesome. I'm gonna work on set. And I'm still in
You're
Houston.
still in
Oh, running.
We're glad.
But not at your mom's house.
Yeah,
Praise
well,
Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, about that.
Yeah. Mom's basement. No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so I just stuck, man. I got here, and then I started working in church media. So there's a lot of churches
Mhm.
around here, a lot of
Mhm.
mega churches. And I tell people all the time, there's 2 places to start in Houston if you want to start into production. Like if you think you want to get into production, it's something you're interested in. Church media, weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like if you want to cut your teeth, like
true.
go work at one of these mega churches
Mhm,
and go
mhm.
work like go do wedding production. Like you're not going to learn in any other industry as fast as you can learn in those two. So if you're really trying to like get out there and do something, that's what I highly recommend. Yeah, when we were working in church media, we were doing like 7 videos a week.
Yeah.
Consistently, forever. Now I'm traumatized from it.
Okay. Not one more talking head, please. Yes. No more talking heads.
But I mean, that's like your boot camp. If you want to go there and you really want to learn, and you learn about everything, they have everything there. So you learn about all the different aspects of production.
The repetition that you get because it is so consistent.
Totally.
Which this industry is not consistent.
No.
You know, I mean, you could pick up, 5 gigs like all at once and then nothing for a period of time.
Right. And then try doing that and then having payroll of your people. Hi, people, I love you.
Yes. Yes, I could relate to some degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, so we didn't go to New Zealand.
We didn't go to New Zealand. No, we had a couple babies instead.
Yeah, that's
3.
That's good. That's
we had
good.
3.
Those are perks.
It's like New Zealand babies. New Zealand babies.
I'll take the babies.
It's like the babies.
Yeah. And coming back here, so you'd been in LA, you had kind of cut your teeth on other things. It sounds like you really landed and loved editing.
Yeah, so So if you strip
world.
everything away from me and I'm not able to do anything in life, it would be I would pick editing if I could pick one thing.
Wow.
That's my thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I do it all, right?
Right.
But
Yeah. So when and what brought you to the point of Bare Hands Media?
Okay, so Bare Hands Media started, I was pregnant with my second child, my middle baby. She came along and I was like, you know what, like this is it. Like, my husband is very, stable, like he can take care of us. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna be a homemaker. I'm gonna wear a little apron. I'm gonna be a Pinterest mom. I'm gonna make my own baby food and like I'm gonna do all that. And like 3 months later, I'm like, nope.
Never mind. That looked better on Pinterest than what I envisioned, actually.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's so with the weird hours that I needed to be able to accommodate and things like that, and I knew I needed a flexible situation, and so I started Bare Hands Media, and it just went from there.
Yeah.
What a cool name too. I'm just gonna say.
I know. We have to know
Bare
what's
Hands
behind
Media,
Bare
come
Hands
on.
Media.
Is it when my daughter was in my little tummy and you do the little 4D what are they called? Not X-rays.
The ultrasounds.
Ultrasounds.
Yes.
See, it's been a while.
Yeah,
and
right.
You forget.
Yes,
you forget. She just had these little bear paws, right? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
So my
Look,
brain.
we were totally.
I went a
Okay.
totally different way,
Okay.
man.
Yeah.
I'm like an MMA guy. I watch MMA.
Me
So
too.
I went like, no gloves, knuckles. Like, this is beastly. Like, I picture you like tattooed knuckles, Bare Hands Media on the front and the knucks. I'm like, that's rad.
Yeah, to be fair, I was also like birthing a child. So if you want to talk hardcore.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. No argument
And
there.
then my mind goes to like she did everything with her bare hands. Like she was
come on.
working
Those are the
with
best
her
names.
bare hands to
Sure.
create all this content that she creates,
I love
as a production company.
Cool.
Yeah. So there's many different. I have like 10 stories that I tell, and the
That's
baby
good.
one is the one I tell the most.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I like it.
Yeah,
the
the same.
subtext.
It's like
You're such
the
an
name of the
artist.
studio. See, this is why women. Let me just go here for a moment, Kelly.
I'm outnumbered, y'all. Help.
This is why women businesses have such depth to them.
I
We make a
totally
name and it
agree.
has 10 different reasons,
Of
not
course,
just one.
never.
But man
We're
does
spaghetti
just,
brains.
That's
We're
right.
spaghetti
I totally
brains.
agree. I totally agree. This is when
Oh,
men.
he's been well taught.
I totally
oh,
agree.
good. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
That's a great
Well
idea,
trained.
honey.
You've been-
Wonderful idea, honey.
Yes.
Been
Yes.
well trained. I like
Yeah,
that.
That's good.
All these
Yeah.
powerful women around you.
I don't stand a
Bethany,
chance.
his wife, has really got his number. She's like, and he's like, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am. That's great.
Go
will,
Bethany.
We'll do that today.
Yep. In
Yeah.
good hands.
Yeah.
mhm.
So, Bare Hands Media was birthed along with the birth.
Berlin. Yes.
And and what was your thought behind it? I mean, was it that you really, wanted to get more into the industry? Was it that you wanted to make an impact in Houston? What was it that you were thinking behind,
yeah.
starting it?
Yeah, and all of that sounds cool, right? The reality is I just needed I needed a creative
Yeah.
outlet to like stay sane.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't really like
Yeah.
a
Big
real
plan.
big plan,
Yeah.
right? I wasn't ever expecting to,
Love
hire
that.
people and have a payroll and pay taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, I would pay taxes.
Right. Good idea.
I
Right.
do that
No,
too.
no,
sometimes.
still, we did have that on another episode. Actually, and we
Oh,
were
you
like
did?
things that you don't understand
have
about
to
this
pay
world. You
taxes.
have to pay taxes.
You have to pay taxes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, so there wasn't really a big plan, and but I did know that I wanted the creative outlet. I did know that I wanted to be doing, the types of stuff that I was working on in LA, where we were dealing with like, things about advertising and commercials and things that, helped other businesses grow, right? I love those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I was officing at the time when I initially started with my my sister-in-law, Amy Boyter, who does Papellery, which is this very incredible company that does these wedding invitations, right? Like the ones that are just like stunners, like the ones where you get
Wow.
a box and you open it and like
Oh, wow.
birds fly out and like dancers with jazz hands go, "Will you be my bridesmaid?"
Wow.
That's the kind of
wow.
stuff she does.
The kind you don't throw away.
Yeah,
nope,
no, you keep
nope,
it forever.
Those
No,
are
she
keepsakes.
does that, and it's beautiful, beautiful work. And I was officing with her, and she came up to me one day and she's like, "Hey, my client has a wedding, this weekend. Can you shoot it?" And I go, "Amy, like, I'm a filmmaker. I don't shoot weddings." And then she came back again, and she was like, "They're really in a pinch. Like, they really need somebody to shoot this wedding." And I was like, "Okay, I'll do it as a, kind of a favor, right? Let's handle it." And I walked in there, and it was like, yee!
Yeah.
Like the florals were just like phenomenal. Like everybody is in like this like really raw moment of their
Yeah,
life,
true,
like the best day that
true.
potentially of their whole
Yes.
life,
Uber
and like
emotional.
all these emotional and all the stories that are happening.
Mhm.
And like as an editor and as somebody that likes to tell stories, there's this whole this arcing story of like the full wedding day, but there's all these like
Sure.
mini stories that happen within, and then they're all so real, right? And so I just instantly fell in love with doing that, right?
Yeah.
And so we took it on. We were about like 50% commercial, corporate, 50% wedding company, and editing weddings. Oh my gosh, like talk about it. Like some of the best editors in the world are really good wedding film editors
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
because you're
Mhm.
making stories out of nothing, out of
Mhm.
Yeah.
just
They're
all like
beautiful.
30 hours of
Yeah.
raw footage,
Sure.
which
Yeah.
is a lot of work. That's why they don't, they script reality TV because it's
Right.
crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, I loved it. I love the challenge. You learn a
Mhm.
lot about like lighting and how you're able to like run and gun, get around
Mhm,
stuff and get the
mhm.
best shots. And then when you start doing scripting and shot planning and stuff like that for your commercial projects, you're like, oh, well, I did this really cool shot this one time by accident, and like maybe this actually works for this thing. So it all kind of like ties back together
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
itself,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Totally.
Mhm.
So
Wow. That's super good. And there's no take two on a
no,
wedding. You better
you
nail it.
cannot. You
You get
cannot
really
mess it up.
good.
The
You
pressure.
get really good really fast, and that's why I say like if you're trying to get into it, church media, weddings, those
Yep.
are your 2.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Wow.
pressure that's there.
Yeah.
Like every time I hear y'all talk about shooting a wedding, like I sweat a little bit, and I didn't even do it because I'm like, what if they're like walking down the aisle and you forgot to hit record?
There's so many
I'm
stories.
like, you don't
Yeah.
redo that.
Wow.
Right.
Like the bride moment that comes in, like
Yeah.
all those, like what are your backups to your backups for
Oh
certain
my
moments
gosh,
of the
yeah.
wedding stuff,
Yeah.
or
And you account for a lot of that stuff,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like, sometimes you'll get we're gonna probably have to cut this out, but whatever. Where sometimes you get a groom that's like really nervous, right? And so
Yes.
you're like, well, I gotta mic you because I need to hear your vows. Like, and you don't usually want to
Yeah.
mic the bride, usually
Right.
because of her
White
dress.
dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you have like the other
White- yeah,
mics, like
sure,
it doesn't
sure.
really.
Sure.
I don't love it. So we usually mic the groom, and the groom, sometimes is nervous, and you're like, hey, like here, look at this pack. Like here's your mute button.
Yeah.
You're good. You're in control. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're okay. As long as you do me a favor and before you walk down that aisle, you turn that mute button back on so that I get your thing, I
Yes.
get your vows, right?
Yeah.
And then they relax a little bit and they're like, okay, cool, I'm in control,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're not in control. I'm in control. I disabled that.
You're getting a big high five for that.
Yeah. Right. Because you know they're not going to remember
No,
that.
they'll never remember.
Because
it.
you're telling me that, I'm like,
No.
there's
They're
no way.
never
There's
gonna
no
remember
way.
that.
I know.
There's no way.
I can
There's
feel you
no-
like starting to panic. Like,
You're amazing.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
You're
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, because you know,
Yes.
so there's a lot of things that you're doing because ultimately what matters is what they end up being able to
Delivering.
remember
Yeah.
for the rest of their lives. And so
Right.
Right.
sometimes you have to be a little tricky
Yeah.
to get
That's
what
so
you
good.
know they're gonna want, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Right. That is all of production, actually.
All of it.
I mean, all of production, you are looking at it from such a different perspective than than people realize, should I
Mhm.
say,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you know the end game of what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
And in the moment, you're knowing that's not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to shoot from this way, or we're going to have to do that, or we're going to have to set the light up. So,
But you also don't necessarily want to tell your talent or whoever
Yeah.
you're dealing with, hey, you are sucking right now.
right.
So
mhm.
you have to be able
Right.
to tell them there's a mute button when there's not a mute button.
Yeah.
And let them feel like
Yes.
everything's great, and you're just tweaking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. So it's just those little perspective that we just on another episode we're talking about how this becomes so normal for us. Like this becomes home for us. This little set here does for Kelly and I because we sit here all the time and we have these conversations all the time, and it just becomes home, real casual home for us. But we realize that everyone else coming or is only doing it once, you
Yeah.
know. But you're thinking that on the day you get married, you're only doing that once,
Right.
and the amount of pressure and nerves, and then you throw everything else in on that.
Yep.
You know, how do you help combat
Sure.
that in others' natural responses where that doesn't convey across the video? I mean, that's the last thing you want to produce a video and they look like they're sweating bullets. You know,
Sure.
like
Oh,
you want them to
yeah.
like so happy.
And some of my favorite ones are the ones where things happen where you would normally be freaking out if it was your day, right?
Mhm.
Like, I love rainy wedding days. Like, I love those.
Wow.
I love them. They're so interesting. Like, some of my favorite edits that I've done have been rainy wedding days.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in the moment, you can feel like, you know, that mother of the bride is like nervous. Like,
Yes.
the planner is like trying to figure out everything. Like, do we need, umbrellas for everybody?
Right.
Do we, whatever? It's panic, right?
Right.
To
Yeah.
get everything done. But they come out so beautifully. Like, I don't know. I
Wow.
just love them. So,
No, that's
anytime there's like unique circumstances that may be looked at as like, problematic on the day, actually it can turn into like really beautiful work.
Mhm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I love about this whole story here with her story is, again, it's another person in the industry, another creative that we've sat with and visited with that had a passion, had a desire, felt like this was their home in this industry, and just went after it.
Right.
Like, just start, like you heard her say, you didn't start out to like try to change Houston's whole. That's
Right.
partly why I asked the question, because knowing your heart, it was no, I just was trying to not stay home and lose my mind.
Right.
So I did what I took with what I had, and
Yeah.
I went and created with it, and it made me happy,
I feel like
and it fulfilled me, and now it's a business.
you're right. I think it's an earmark for what we hear,
A
you know,
lot.
in constantly,
Yeah.
you know, in success, even if it's success looks differently, you know, wherever you are, whatever that looks like. But it's an earmark. Like it's
Yeah.
people who are, you know, just chasing passion,
Yeah.
chasing what did it for them right here, and then would be consistent and like not let up, stay the course. Those are
Mhm.
like earmarks, things that I know that is your story, and it's
Yeah.
like I could hear that all the time, like over and over and
Mhm.
over.
Yeah.
You know, from the whole thing.
It's really encouraging to get to hear, one, that everyone's kind of doing something they really love. I think when you do what you love and you don't try to put some great expectation on yourself with it, but just do what you love, the expectation comes.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
mean, you end up reaching far, like you said. I mean, you're like, well, I didn't expect on having payroll and employees, and your staff, by the way, is phenomenal. I love every single one
they
of
are
them.
the best.
They
They're
are
the very
the
best.
best. They are. And so I think that you have a great team, a great crew around you because of your passion and love that you have for what you do. It makes other people want to be around and be inspired and encouraged and love what they do, which creates a great environment on set. Y'all shot here in studio multiple times, and y'all are a delight to have every time. So I see that in your work. I see that in your company at Bare Hands. And I've been
And
encouraged
I
by
think
that.
it's like you're making me think of like this, around the studio here. We have our team. We have team meetings, and we'll even have like books that we're reading together. We're like growing together as a team continually. We're doing things like that. One of these books we're reading most recently was talking about the difference between a goal mindset and a growth mindset.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are and goals are great. We gotta
Yes.
you have goals within the midst of growth.
Correct.
But being more focused on growth, like just being better at something, or moving forward, or learning a new skill set, or whatever it is. Seeing a rainy day is like more like, oh, what can I do with, like, it's just that's a different thing. Like, if your goal was to get the perfect sunset shot, well, guess what? That didn't happen that day. It was something else. So how do I grow in this, as opposed to just like, all right, that's not going to happen? And I love that. I love that. I see that in what you're doing. It's more about the growth than it is I got to get to here, and then I'm going to get to here, and then I'm going to get to this and that and that. That's different.
Yeah.
That's
And I do
different.
have clients that are like that, right? So the flip side to the wedding side is the advertising side and the commercial production and things like that. We are very goal oriented with that, right? What is it that this business is trying to accomplish?
Sure.
What do we need to do to help them get there?
Right.
So it's kind of a twofer. It's
Yeah,
a growth
I get
and a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then of course, you try to set the goals and then exceed those goals.
Totally.
And I think for clients, it's a very goal-driven thing. But you as a company, as a growth-minded style company, But when you approach your clients, it's more of a goal-oriented. I would say I'm probably the same way in that too. I want a growth mindset.
Sure.
Studio,
Well,
my team around me, I want them to be growers. I want them to think in the growth type mindset. But each client, I'm goal oriented. Did I meet your expectations? How can I supersede those expectations? What can we do more to serve you?
Exactly.
It's that type mentality when you start looking at people that you're in business with, right? And that's been fun to be around a growth mentality staff.
Definitely.
Absolutely. That's the best.
And talk about that other side you were talking about. Like, we talked about the weddings, but tell me about the other clients and all the other kind of stuff you're doing too.
So a lot of that is we're dealing with corporate and commercial clients. We do a lot of like storytelling, documentary style productions for corporate clients. We do a lot of commercials. We do a lot of we do TV and streaming platform, anything that has ad spend behind it. We're going to come in and we're going to help strategize what that video needs to be, look like, all the things, right? To be able to accomplish the goals that they're trying to meet, right? For that campaign. So a lot of times we're partnering directly with either the marketing team that's internal to the company, or we're partnering with other marketing and advertising companies. So sometimes they'll place the media and we'll do the video to help. So what's cool about all of that is this team-oriented situation that I love. Teams, man. I love working with different kinds of people. I love working with different kinds of creatives. Like, that's the most inspiring thing for me, is to just be going off with another creative about, okay, cool. How are we going to present this company in the way that they need to do to, for this campaign? And so you have these creative meetings, and that is just like the best. And so I love that. I love helping other. You love that.
We
too.
love it too.
I love
it
this.
too.
I'm like, he's like wanting to eat his mic. It's just like, me too.
We're the same. We like that. I feed off of that. Like,
yes, he does.
I'm not an island of like prima donna creative. I'm just like, what do you got? What do you got? Oh, that's good. Well, I could add this. And you got that.
Yes.
That's the
that
best.
is the best.
Yeah, it
and
is.
I'm here to say, like, prima donna, like that kind of thing, that's got to go.
That's
gotta go.
Yeah.
And you see it sometimes in like these younger kids that come around. They're like, I want my name in lights. Blah blah blah. It's like, you got to work as a team, baby, because that's how you're gonna get ahead. Is if you are working with a team and you are constantly like concerned about everybody else that's on that team and that client and all of the people that are all working around it. That's how. And where you learn that from? weddings.
This all comes
And
back
it
to the
comes
big
full
day.
circle, folks. But
You know
that's
what I
true.
Because if you have to think about the photographer, you have to think about the planner, you have to think
So
about
true.
everybody, all the vendors that are on that team that are making that day
Ugh.
awesome. You've got to make all of them look good
That's so
so
true.
that you can look good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
so that
You got to
team,
manage time. You got to get it right.
you got to get out of
oh,
their way. You got, you know what I mean? You have
Yeah.
to be thinking about
That's true.
everybody else,
That's
because
true.
if that photographer is getting the best shots of their life, then they're making sure you're getting the best shots of your life.
That's it.
You know,
That's
so
good. Yeah, you're
it's
right.
that team.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're right. That's, man, you could like jump off of that,
Oh, 100
thing for
times.
all day,
Yep.
all day long. I mean, making sure someone is their best. That's the
Yeah.
natural reciprocation process. Oh, you want to do that? Well, I want to do that for you. Oh, how do I
Yeah.
help? Yeah, that's beautiful. You're nailing it.
Yeah.
That's a great. That's
Yeah.
a way to build a company right there.
Yeah.
So you guys are creating tons of content, your own content,
yeah.
and then sometimes you are also placing media if there's not another
Yeah.
agency or media buy situation involved.
Right. It depends on the size of the company,
Yeah.
typically, right? Typically, the smaller companies will be the agency on record for that company, and we'll
Mhm.
place that media for them,
Mhm.
and we can strategize and all of that stuff.
Right.
The bigger ones will have either, they will have other bigger agencies involved that do the media placement, and
Right.
then we just team up with them on creative.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love it.
I
Very
know.
cool.
Doing great things.
I
Fun
know.
things, lots of fun
Mhm.
things.
I know. Lots
Yeah.
of fun things.
Great team. Great things. Mama. I
Mama.
love that.
Mama.
I know.
I love that.
Oh.
Mama. A wife.
Wow.
And a little Houstonian changer.
Yeah. I love it.
I like it. I like it. I mean, Anna, your energy, the first time I ever met you to now has never changed. That's one of the things I love about you. Your consistency and your energy is even the same. You're just a fun person to be around, a fun person to work with, and a positive attribute to this industry here in Houston. And I appreciate that so much. I
Totally.
really
And
do.
I echo that to you. Like, it's so wonderful to meet other women in the industry. No offense, that I'm just
Sorry
like
again.
that I just click with
Yeah.
and connect with, and I feel like everything that you stand for and you represent in this city is just like it's something to admire and look up to. And I just loved you immediately too. I made a funny joke at AAF when we were there, and I was like, oh, that was a really inappropriate funny joke, and you laughed, and I was like, yes, like, I love her.
Me and a sucker for some humor. Sorry.
Hey,
It's like,
I know you. I don't know where you're gonna go, but I just want to make sure that we hear what's like next. Like what's coming down the pipe, or what do you want to
Yeah.
do? What do you see? What
Yeah.
are you thinking? Like what's the future hold?
Yeah, I'm just on the ride, man.
You're on the ride. You don't know.
yeah.
I'm on the ride. I'm
Oh.
open to whatever
Yeah.
happens, right? I'm just here to be a part of, the community and the industry, and let's go, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there's a bright future in production here in Houston.
I do
Oh,
too.
I do too. Yeah.
I really do. I
For
think
sure.
it's on the upswing more
Mhm.
now than it ever has been. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited that we all get to be a piece in that.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked to a lot of great people from here,
Mhm.
and they're all doing really good stuff.
There's something to be said for that whole birds of a feather flock together thing.
Amen.
It's just
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
same synergy, same spirit, same, the
Mhm.
sameness,
Mhm.
want to be alike with each other, feed off each other, be together. I love it. I love the community that's being
Bring
built this time
excellence.
around. Yeah.
Excellence. Raising the bar
Mm-hmm.
and excellence in everything that we create from here is a common thread that everyone is trying to do.
Yep.
That has been in and around and a part of the studio and the industry life around here.
Totally.
Which has been fun to,
Mm-hmm.
fun to get to hear and listen to. So
Totally. Like we haven't even got to talk about like DeLoreans or anything cool like that.
I don't know
yet.
anybody in this room that knows about DeLoreans. So
Okay,
weird.
okay.
Can I have just a couple more, just like 2 more minutes to talk about something nerdy, and then we can finish
yes,
it up. Okay.
yes.
Okay. So, for all of you 80s movie fans and Comic-Con lovers and all things film or cult classics, anyway, I love DeLoreans because, of course, they gave your iconic Back to the Future, or made that car,
Yep.
uber famous.
Yep.
So mega fan. Well, I didn't know that here in Houston is where it ended up being kind of a landing place for a lot of these vehicles. And you have to tell them a little bit more, but she's now working with a client who has done something super cool, and I want one of these things and
I'm
and
gonna get you
everything.
one.
Okay.
I'm gonna get you
yeah,
one.
oh,
You deserve
please.
it. You
Oh, I
deserve
so
it.
deserve. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Now
I
you're
don't
really
wanna-
going to get him to geek out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. But tell us what is here, and tell us what your design, what your what you're a part of. Just tell us.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So our client is Rec Watches. They're based out of Denmark, and what they do is they make watches out of old cars. And so
Yeah.
oh. So it's these like cool little pieces they'll put in their collector's watches, right? And they're super cool. But we did an entire series of commercials and content and all of this stuff for DeLorean DMC. I know, and I had no idea that they were here. And they're like in
Houston.
Humble in this
Yeah.
like residential area too. So you're driving through, you're off the interstate, you're going through this residential area, and then like bam, you're like DeLorean. Like, what is
Like
this?
so random.
It's
Like,
so
where
random.
am I?
And it's so cool, and they're the coolest people ever. You know, DeLorean people are cool people.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. And so we went. I was telling you earlier. Another thing that's really cool about them is they have. So I did a couple of location scouts before we actually started shooting there, and I just thought it was so rad that like majority of their mechanics working on these DeLoreans, they're women.
If I walked into a place with like a line of women mechanics, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's just cool.
It was just
There's
like
no-
it
this is
was
cool.
just the coolest, like diverse, like situation. They're all working on these old cars,
That's
and I'm just like,
awesome.
I love this already, and I don't even know anybody here.
Yeah.
Now I knew everybody there by the time I left.
Right,
I
right.
got
Yeah.
everybody's number.
I
and
believe that.
We were
Yeah.
following each other on the socials.
Yes.
We're real friends now.
Yeah. But no, I loved it. It was so cool to like be in the cars, and they have all of like the backstock of the originals right there. So like the
Wow.
coolest backgrounds were like them doing their interviews
Yep.
right in front of like all of these old parts. Like it's just like it was so cool, man.
Man.
I gotta take you over there.
Yeah, I
You
want to
would
see it.
love it.
Yeah, I gotta
You
go.
would love it.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah,
So
I
we
would
had a
totally go.
blast shooting all of that content. They were so fun to work with. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even really that into cars, and now I'm like dead set on getting a DeLorean, like an
Yeah.
OG
Oh
DeLorean.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're building new ones in California. I don't know if you know that, but
No, I
the
didn't know
DMC has
that.
got a new car that's going to be released. It's a
Really?
new version,
Really?
fancy pants
Oh.
DeLorean.
wow.
Yes,
Wow.
for the fancy people.
So, but this watch company though, you got to tell them what this watch company is doing with the DeLorean. So they have.
Okay, yeah. So the original John DeLorean car that he used to drive is like his company car was found like in a field in Florida randomly.
The John DeLorean.
Yeah.
His car.
Hmm.
Yes, and they they checked the number and everything, and it turned out it definitely was, but it had been outdoors, and so there was a lot of damage to the car. But they were gonna
Mhm.
make the car
Refurbish it,
right,
yeah.
refurbish it,
Yep.
all that stuff. But there was a piece of the car. It was like the T piece at the top of the car. You know where the doors go up? There's like that T piece up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was so damaged by hail they couldn't. They replaced it, right?
Yeah,
And so they
yeah.
always had this piece. They were never going to get rid of it. They were never going
Right.
to like throw it away,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, and so they partnered with Rec Watches to carve that piece into like I think it was like 485 pieces of
Wow.
metal that they included in the
Okay.
watch.
Wow.
And so the watches you can buy from Rec Watches. Look at me, there's an advertisement. Hey,
Uh-oh.
client.
Hey.
Hey, client.
Limited edition,
Yeah.
485.
Watch me have all of the numbers wrong.
Oh no! Oh no!
Still
No.
limited edition.
And just as a disclaimer, these are estimated
Yeah.
numbers.
All of this story was a lie. Just kidding. No. But yeah. So there's those pieces of John DeLorean's original car, his company car that he drove in those watches.
Wow.
I'm gonna
Super
get you
cool.
one, 100%.
Oh,
Mark my words.
dude.
Yeah.
You heard
Yeah.
it here.
You did hear it here. And time mark that, so
Yeah.
we keep that forever.
That's awesome.
But that's what's so
Yeah.
cool about working with clients all the time that are
is.
in
It
these different
is. It
industries,
is.
and you learn about what they do and what they love and what they're passionate about and how they want to, how they're doing all these cool creative stuff. And I've
Mhm.
learned so much about different industries. it's like, what other business can you be in where you're let into like the most intimate parts of people's businesses and how
Yeah.
they run, and you just learn. Like, I've never
Yeah.
been in a cars before. I love cars. Now,
Oh.
one car.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep, you're right.
It's
Yeah.
so cool.
I
You know,
agree.
there's other clients that have like these, tech solutions for like
Mhm.
digital product things that are just like something I would never normally get into, and I am into it.
Oh.
I'm like in it.
Dude,
in it.
got to do what you love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they say that camera will take you around the world and take you places you never dreamed of.
True.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
So
That
true.
is what
That's
a
true.
camera will do.
It will.
Your ability to be either photography or videographer takes you places
Yep.
that otherwise you would never walk in.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
100%.
And that's the super cool thing about our industry. Can you even focus? I feel like you can't even
No,
focus now after
no,
we've talked
I'm
about
like,
these
I'm still
cars.
thinking about the DeLorean
This
watch. I'm
is-
sorry.
Y'all,
I can
I'm
see
sorry
it.
for
My
this.
brain has a
This
flux
is-
capacitor, and it's awesome.
He's
It's-
geeked out
it'll
now
take
a
me
couple
back
of
in
times.
time, and I know I'm the one who got us here down to this DeLorean path, so I feel like I'm the one who should get us out of here because I know we're like done with time. But so that's all I got, and I know that we could talk to Anna, as I like
Yes.
to call her.
Anna Boyter.
Yes. More and more and more. This is another one of
Yeah.
those interviews we could just like, I could geek out all day
Uh-huh.
over. Love it. Love her. Love bare hands. And yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Anna. Thank you so much for being on. Our mascot X is
Yeah.
also super glad that you were here today. And yeah, so I'm Amber Buto, and this is
Kelly Leger.
signing off for today until we see you on Set Life.